UFC Fight Night Vegas 39, Dern versus Rodriguez takes place this weekend, and I'm going to go through every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main events, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card. Now, sorry if I pass out in the middle of this video from excitement, it's just that this card might be the best card I've ever seen in my entire life. Honestly, it's the card of 2021. Nay, it's the card of MMA history. I've never seen a better card than this put together ever before in MMA. This is absolutely amazing. I'm overwhelmed with excitement. There's not a single chance right now that I'm absolutely faking my excitement so I can muster up enough enthusiasm to even make this prediction video in the first place. I'm overwhelmed with excitement right now. This is not fake. I am being genuine about my excitement. I can't wait for this fight card. It's absolutely amazing. Starting at the early prelim opener. Oh my god! Steve Garcia Jr. versus Charlie Ontiveros. Literally an 11-7 fighter in the UFC. You never see this kind of stuff, honestly, because other cards have some self-respect. But either way, he's on the card. Oh, honestly, this is where we get going. Steve Garcia Jr. versus Charlie Ontiveros. No, Charlie Ontiveros is going to get KO'd in the first round, in my opinion. He's too big to be at lightweight. Maybe that'll help him if he does have a good weight cut, but I feel like he's going to James Vick himself down into the lightweight division, get chinned by Steve Garcia, who's a very tough guy and hard to put away. I don't feel like he's going to be put away by Charlie Ontiveros here, and that's the only way I see Charlie Ontiveros winning. I think as this fight goes on, Garcia is going to have a massive chance at winning, and I think he'll win this one by second round TKO, slowly weathering the storm of the first round against Charlie Ontiveros, who's a little bit wacky, a little bit zany, throws some couple of crazy techniques, maybe an axe kick or something like that, who knows. Steve Garcia Jr. is going to weather the storm, push him up against the cage, knee at his thigh, knee to the body, punch to the body. He's a big guy for lightweight as well. I think he'll win this one against Charlie Ontiveros, not to mention Charlie Ontiveros, absolute can-fed career so far, lost to absolute bums, lost to some good opponents as well, don't get me wrong, but even against certain opponents that he's won against, who have a decent record, he always takes them to a split decision or a unanimous decision or a decision in general, rather than dusting them up like he does against absolute cans that he takes on. Coming off that bad neck injury against Kevin Holland, I don't think he wins this one. I'm going to go with Steve Garcia, but I don't even mind him as an underdog just because he'll be so big at lightweight. But I think it's going to backfire. He's going to start to feel drained in the second round. Garcia will take over and get a late rounds TKO. Moving on up the card. Oh my god! Lupita Godinez versus Sam Hughes. 5-1 versus 5-3. These fighters deserve the same pay as NFL athletes, honestly. It's crazy how much these guys deserve to be paid. 5-3 Sam Hughes in the UFC. Absolute madness. A rematch decades in the making. I'm not even joking there either. It might not have been decades, but it's been many years. Lupita Godinez won the first time. She's the younger girl. She won it handily by unanimous decision as well. No controversy there. I'm going to go with Lupita Godinez again. I thought she won her fight against Jessica Penne. Jessica Penne is actually somehow good in that world, in women's MMA, so she's considered actually one of the good ones. I know it's crazy because if you've ever watched her fight, she's absolute garbage. But she's actually somewhat good in that world. She beat Karolina Kowalkiewicz recently as well. I'm going to go over Lupita Godinez. I thought she could have won that fight against Jessica Penne. And Sam Hughes completely quit on the stall against Tecia Torres. I know because she's female, she can't technically quit, but she did. She quit. She was just getting beaten quite handily in the first round. Called it off because she had a cut on her nose or something like that. And called off the entire fight. So she's a quitter. She has no skill. She lost the first time to Lupita Godinez. Godinez is the younger girl as well, so I think she can exceed or maintain her lead over Sam Hughes since the first time they fought each other, and I'll pick her again to win by unanimous decision. Moving on up the card, Charles Rosa versus Damon Jackson. What? On the prelims? I'm going to go with Damon Jackson here over Charles Rosa. I like Damon Jackson's defensive grappling. I think if Rosa shoots for a takedown here, which I believe he's going to have to do because he's so shit on the feet. He's so shit on the feet, it's actually laughable. Damon Jackson, I think he's got good enough defensive grappling. He's also got really dangerous defensive grappling as well in terms of guillotines and dash chokes and certain submission attempts. Used that on Mirsad Bektic a couple of times in their fight. Even though he did get a finish in the third round with the guillotine, there was a couple of moments in the first and second where he also had attempts on them as well. And to have the squeeze necessary in the third round of a tough fight against Mirsad Bektic, when he takes that one on short notice, I trust him to go out there and beat Charles Rosa, not from the guillotine, but I think he's going to threaten Rosa enough to keep this standing, and I think that's where Damon Jackson's going to have a big advantage. Much better record, much bigger guy, got the reach advantage on the feet as well, and Charles Rosa looks like he doesn't know what he's doing out there, looks like he's lost his glasses in the cage. I feel like Damon Jackson wins this one on the feet, and I think he wins it by a very lackluster unanimous decision win. Gonna go with Damon Jackson here. Moving on up the card, Alexandr Romanov versus Jared Vanderaa. Actually not bad, because Alexandr Romanov is a prospect in the heavyweight division. I will be picking him to beat Jared Vanderaa here. Very good matchup, though. I actually don't mind this one. I think it's a decent matchup. Alexandr Romanov, 14-0 from, I believe, where is it? Moldova is where he's from. Very good fighter from that region. I think he's going to win this one as well, and I think he'll get the finish here. He's a very big favourite, so I think if you want to make some money, maybe go for like a first round finish for Alexandr Romanov. He's got that forearm choke, and I think he's going to use that quite well in this fight, and I think it's going to work out for him here. I don't see Jared Vanderaa being able to stop the takedowns of Alexandr Romanov. I know that people don't like the way that Romanov won against Juan Espino, and I completely understand, but what you have to look at is not just the result of the fight, but what happened in the fight. Romanov took down Juan Espino in the second round and battered him for a bit in that second round. I feel like it was a good performance by Romanov. He could have won the first round as well. He maybe shouldn't have won the first round. It should have maybe gone to Juan Espino. Either way, he's a very good fighter, and I don't think that Jared Vanderaa is going to be good enough. Not to mention, he went out there against Sergey Spivak and got basically Romanoved with ground and pound and takedowns from Spivak. I think Romanov is a much better grappler than Sergey Spivak, and I think he'll get this one done by first round forearm choke submission. Moving on up the card, Jamie Pickett versus Laureano Staropoli. I'm going to go with Laureano Staropoli here. Very risky pick, because Jamie Pickett is actually well, he's not good because he's a middleweight, but I feel like welterweights are a little bit better than middleweights. I think he's going to move up, have success against Jamie Pickett, not to mention, why is Jamie Pickett even in the UFC? Who's he beaten? Ever? Has he beaten anyone? It's not a bad underdog because he's much bigger, but who has he actually beaten? No one. Okay. So this is his last chance. Same with Laureano Staropoli, who I believe also doesn't even have a win in the UFC, but he's been fighting at welterweight. Had a good third round against Muslim Salikov. Won the third round against Muslim Salikov. Had a very close first round as well. Lost the second round quite badly. Stepped up on short notice against Tim Means. Did okay there, but got beaten by Tim Means quite handily. But again, that was a competitive fight while it lasted. Good performance by Laureano there. He's not good enough to hang with some of the welterweights, but I think he's going to be good enough to hang with the shit middleweights like Jordan Pickett, Jamie Pickett, whatever his fucking name is, who cares. Got whooped by Tafon Chukwi over 3 rounds. Jordan Wright finished him in the first round. I think I'm going to be going with Laureano Staropoli here. I just think he's a more quality fighter, and even against Roman Dolidze in his last fight that he lost, he shut down anything Roman Dolidze had for him, and it just became a sort of stalemate against a cage. I don't see in any way Jamie Pickett finishing him. He actually does have some wins in the UFC. Thiago Alves, Hector Aldana. Decent wins in the UFC. I think he's going to get this one done by unanimous decision, just sort of out-hustling Jamie Pickett in certain grappling exchanges, being a bit stronger in there, and just being a better fighter in general. Jamie Pickett does have power. He's only beaten cans in his career. He has power, but he also doesn't have the best of chins, doesn't have the best of cardio, doesn't have the best of grappling. I'm going to trust a more well-rounded fighter over the physical attributes of a Jamie Pickett. I'm going with Laureano Staropoli. Moving on up the card, Chris Gutierrez versus Felipe Colares. I'm going to be going with Chris Gutierrez here, 1,000,000%. I'll dare the MMA gods to make me get this one wrong. I don't think there's a single chance that Felipe Colares wins. Huh? Tremble over your parlays now, I've cursed it. I don't think there's a single chance that he loses this one against Felipe Colares. Colares does not have good takedowns. Gutierrez has learned good takedown defense throughout his career. There was one fight that he had in his career where a guy took his back for a round and it ended in a draw because of it, but that was a bit of a weird one. He arguably should have won that fight, but the guy, Cody Durden, good grappler in the flyweight division, to be fair, went out there, took his back for the first round, but then he sort of got dominated in the second and third and easily beaten on the feet. And in his last fight against Andre Ewell, Chris Gutierrez looked absolutely amazing, mixing it up. I believe he was jumping off the cage at one point in that fight, looking very good on the feet, and I think he's learned his lesson about the necessity of fixing his ground game. Got choked out on the Ultimate Fighter by Raoni Barcelos, but Raoni Barcelos is a very good fighter in the bantamweight division. I just don't believe that Felipe Colares is at that level in any way whatsoever. Looked very, very sloppy in his last fight. He won his last fight against Luke Sanders, but it was so bad looking that I have to go with Chris Gutierrez. He doesn't seem to have great grappling or takedowns, so he's stuck on the feet against Gutierrez, and I just don't see an outcome where that guy who I watched fight Luke Sanders can at all beat Chris Gutierrez. He got dropped by Luke Sanders, really badly hurt in one of the rounds. I'm going to go with Chris Gutierrez getting this one done over the 3 rounds. I reckon he'll actually finish Felipe Colares in the second round by like body kick TKO or something like that, just by mixing up and throwing whatever he wants against him. Moving on up the card to the main card, and this is where it gets interesting. Phil Hawes versus Deron Winn. Oh my goodness. Now we're talking real fights. I'm going to go Phil Hawes. I didn't mind Deron Winn as an underdog because he is actually quite good at grappling, but he's just so outmatched physically here against Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes is going to be stronger, going to be faster, has dealt well with certain grapplers in the past, did okay against Nassourdine Imavov. Now, fair play, he did go out there and hold the cage about 50 times, but if he's going to do that again, there's a chance he's going to do it again, so I don't know if I should maybe penalise my own prediction here because he does cheat in fights. Him cheating might actually help him in certain fights. Did okay against Kyle Dorcas as well, won that fight, pushed good in the 3rd round, which is something I did need to see against Deron Winn because Deron Winn slows down in the 3rd round. And I feel like Phil Hawes is going to get this one done by 3rd round TKO over Deron Winn. I think Deron Winn, no, I'll say decision. Deron Winn will survive, but Phil Hawes will win the last 2 rounds of this fight. Maybe losing the first one because Deron Winn gets about 5 different takedowns on him. Lands a couple of shots here and there in the clinch. I just think Deron Winn at 5'5" is too small to be a middleweight. Hasn't got the reach whatsoever. Is going to be outreached here by 7.5 inches. Pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I'm going to go Phil Hawes. I was risking a Deron Winn, but he just looks so sloppy and shit, even against guys like Antonio Arroyo, who's so fucking bad himself at fighting. And Deron Winn made that fight look fucking sloppy and didn't even look good on the feet there. So I'm definitely going to go Phil Hawes. Deron Winn is a fat little midget of a middleweight. I know he wants to fight at middleweight rather than welterweight because he couldn't maybe exist at welterweight, but at middleweight he knows, hang on, this entire division is absolute garbage compared to everywhere else. I'll take this division over welterweight, but I think it's going to backfire here. I don't think he's going to be taking down Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes trains with good guys. I've seen him train with Sean Strickland and King's MMA and jumping between gyms here and there. I like Phil Hawes' mentality, and I think he'll win this one by unanimous decision based on the last 2 rounds against Deron Winn. Interesting bout though. Moving on up the card, Sabina Mazo versus Mariya Agapova. I'm going to go with main card bout, by the way. Fuck. I'm gonna go Mariya Agapova because how the fuck do you lose to Alexis Davis? But then how do you lose to Shayna Dobson? Oh, fuck's sake, man. Just fucking stupid, dumb women's MMA, man. I'm going to go with, I don't know what to do here. I genuinely don't know what to do here with this one. I thought I'd come with an answer here and maybe pick the underdog of Mariya Agapova, but she's so shit, really. I'm going to go with Sabina Mazo because she out-grappled Shayna Dobson. And that's a big thing to do to Shayna Dobson. A very strong woman for the weight class. I'm going to go with Sabina Mazo here. Even if she can't win this on the feet, I think she's going to have the grappling skill to do so. She lost to Alexis Davis, though. How does that make any sense? I'm going to go with Sabina Mazo. Good grappling, better grappling than Mariya Agapova, better understanding of controlling her pace. I think maybe Mariya Agapova wins the first round, loses the last 2. I'll go with 29-28 decision for Sabina Mazo as the rounds go on. You never really fucking know what's going to happen, but I'm going to use that Shayna Dobson fight as a bit of a benchmark here and say, you know what? Seeing as Mariya Agapova got out-grappled by Shayna Dobson and Sabina Mazo out-grappled Shayna Dobson, I think that she's going to have a big advantage in the grappling here over Mariya Agapova, and I think she's going to win this one. Plus, she's got a reach advantage, which Mariya Agapova isn't used to dealing with. So, I'm going to go with Sabina Mazo, bit bigger, bit longer, and better grappling. She wins this one by unanimous decision. Moving on up the card. We're nearly at the end, but this is where it gets crazy in the feature fight. Tim Elliott versus Matheus Nicolau. What? How is this not its own main event? Great matchup, though, in the flyweight division. I know I'm shitting on the card, but this is actually a fun one for me. I'm going to go Matheus Nicolau. His win over Manel Kape is aging like... First of all, he didn't really win, did he? But the closeness of the bout with Manel Kape has aged pretty well, I think we can agree. Showed good grappling in that bout. He's always had good grappling. And let's be real, he's got a bit of an underrated record for himself. 16-3. And at flyweight, you don't really get too many cans on the regional scene. I don't know why that is, but there's not really many cans for Matheus Nicolau. He beats good opponents, like he's fighting at Brave CF, 13-4, Efrain, 10-3, Alan Gabriel, Lewis Smolka, 11-4 in the UFC, beat him. John Moraga in the UFC beat him by split decision. I remember him. John Moraga. I wonder what happened to him. I forgot about that. Lots of KO wins. Had some big power at flyweight. Bruno Correa, 4-0. He was just on the contender series again. Matheus Nicolau finished him in the third round by submission with a Japanese necktie. Very interesting. Beat a guy 18-1. He's beaten some good opponents on the regional scene. Only lost to great opponents on the regional scene. Sure, he's a little bit chinny in the first round sometimes. He's been finished by a head kick from Dustin Ortiz. Got finished by punches in the first round against Pedro Nobre. That's the only losses he really has. I'm going to be trusting him to win this one against Tim Elliott because I think his grappling is good. The way to defeat him is on the feet, and I don't think Tim Elliott has that stand-up danger that he has to worry about. So I'm going to go with Matheus Nicolau winning this one over the 3 rounds in a very close bout, back and forth, 29-28. I'm going to be going with Matheus Nicolau here over Tim Elliott. Good win, I think he's going to get here. And I think Tim Elliott maybe gets a takedown, holds Matheus Nicolau against the cage in the first round, but I think eventually Matheus Nicolau starts to wear into the fight, starts to win it for himself, or maybe he wins the first 2 and Elliott starts to grind him out in the third. Who knows? I'm going to trust Matheus Nicolau because of how good his grappling is, and I think that's the only way Tim Elliott has to win, is to try and get this to the ground and out-grapple Nicolau. Don't see that happening. Moving on. Up the card, Randy Brown versus Jared Gooden. The co-main event. No, wait, sorry. No, let me act like I'm excited. It's co-main event. And now for the co-main event of a fight night card. For these fighters that don't get paid enough and deserve millions. It's 13-4 Randy Brown versus 18-6 Jared Gooden. This is absolutely bonkers. Oh my goodness, this fight. How does it not have its own card? Honestly, some of these fights are so amazing. I'm going to go with Randy Brown here. He's taller, he's rangier, he's much better than Jared Gooden. Jared Gooden beat a guy in his last fight that I don't really respect too much as having a chin. I thought he'd get the KO win here over Nicolas Stolze. Stolze's a bit of a chinny guy. You can just see it by looking at him. Very skinny neck, very small head. He lost to Agapova Nurmagomedov, which isn't a bad loss, but then maybe that's just because his surname's Nurmagomedov. The same guy lost to David Zawada by first round submission, and David Zawada ain't been winning fights recently, so maybe that loss that he did okay in and won the third round in isn't really that amazing anyway. Lost to Alan Jouban, shouldn't be losing to a part-time fighter if you're in any way good whatsoever. Lost to Bruno Oliveira, not a bad loss to have. I just don't trust him to win this one. And I reckon Randy Brown's going to win this one by unanimous decision. Or, no, I'll say unanimous decision. I think Randy Brown is much better than Jared Gooden. I don't see Jared Gooden getting a KO win here in any way. I think Randy Brown wins this one based on the first 2 rounds. And then loses the third round maybe to Jared Gooden in a 29-28 unanimous decision win. Randy Brown gets this one done by being better. And even having a decent performance against Vicente Luque as long as it lasted. But he did get... I don't know. Gooden's not really much of a leg kicker. More of a puncher. Randy Brown, you got to chop at those skinny-ass legs. It's just a problem that he has genetically. Those legs are going to be a target for a lot of fighters, including Vicente Luque. I reckon he can recover here. He has a decent win as well by submission over Wale Alves, I believe. By triangle at some point, I believe. Wale Alves, triangle win over him. Yes, he does. He beat Brian Barberena as well, who's a decent fighter in the division, I guess. Beat Alex Oliveira in his last fight by first round submission. Price just went to a decision with him. So I'm going to trust here Randy Brown to get this one done over Jared Gooden. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll do it. Moving on up the card. Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez. Oh my god, this one is just absolutely bonkers. I'm actually going to go with Marina Rodriguez here as an underdog. I think this is a great underdog to pick here. I think she's much better than Mackenzie Dern. When I first opened up the odds for this card, I thought, well, Dern might be a good underdog to pick here. Like that, maybe I'll hesitate and think about maybe picking Dern as an underdog. She's the massive favourite over Marina Rodriguez. which I have not a massive favourite, but she's a raunchy favourite over Marina Rodriguez here. And the majority of people are picking her as well, 70-30 on Tapology. I don't get that. I'm going to go with Marina Rodriguez. She's got KO power, finished Amanda Ribas, of course, in spectacular fashion. She's got good power on the feet. She's 14-1. She's got more experience than Mackenzie Dern. And I just think she's straight up better than Mackenzie Dern, in all honesty. Beat Michelle Waterson in her last fight. We really don't know where Nina Nunes's mindset was at coming back after such a long time off after having a child. We know she doesn't really need it as a career anyway, so like how much do we really put into that win for Mackenzie Dern over Nina Nunes? But either way, Mackenzie Dern has looked pretty decent in the last few fights. Jandaroba's not an easy win to get, so that's a decent win for Mackenzie Dern, but I definitely am going to be going with Marina Rodriguez. Higher striking accuracy by far, 48-38% for Marina Rodriguez. Higher striking landing rate by far, 4.89 for Marina Rodriguez, 3.64 for Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern absorbs more strikes as well. Her defense is a little bit better, but I assume that's because she's usually on top of girls when they're trying to strike with her. She's got a 10% takedown accuracy rate, Mackenzie Dern. And Marina Rodriguez has a 62 defense rate. And she's fought decent opponents to get that defense rate as well. I don't know how people are making Marina Rodriguez the underdog. So if I was you guys, I'd get some money on her right now before the odds change, because I think a lot of people are going to have some realizations that maybe they should have picked Marina Rodriguez and put some money on her. So get money on her while you can. TKO'd Ribas in the second round, beat Michelle Waterson, lost to Carla Esparza, who's just beat Yan Xiaonan in dominant fashion by a split decision. And it was a very close fight. Should have gone to Esparza, fair play. But very, very close fight. Went to a draw with Cynthia Calvillo. In the third round, she kind of gassed out a little bit. But she's fixed those problems. She went 5 rounds hard with Michelle Waterson. I'm going to trust her to do that again here if she needs to go 5 rounds. And she had a full camp for the No, she had half a camp for the Michelle Waterson fight as well. She didn't even have a full camp to fight Michelle Waterson. So I think I'm going to trust her to go 5 rounds. Beat Tisha Torres. Amazing win at strawweight. Beat Jessica Aguilar. Decent win at strawweight as well. I'm going to trust her to get this one done by unanimous decision. I think Dern will be tough. Dern will have moments where she barely gets Rodriguez to the ground for a second, but I think Rodriguez's takedown defense is just pretty good, and I don't think I can see Dern getting her to the ground. And Mackenzie Dern, because it's women's MMA, only started grappling and sparring hard, in her own words, only started sparring hard before the Virna Jandiroba fight. A professional fighter only started sparring hard when she reached the top 10 in the world. They deserve NFL pay, apparently, according to people. Either way, I'm going to be going with Marina Rodriguez. I trust her to get this one done. She did okay against Carla Esparza on the ground. She didn't get dominated. She didn't get absolutely destroyed in that fight. Honestly, if you look at the stats, she kind of should have won. Now I'm looking at this. But Carla Esparza was on top, landing total strikes. Rodriguez landed better, more significant strikes. Could have been a win for Marina Rodriguez, but you know what? I'm going to trust her to win this one against Dern. Don't see her getting taken down. Don't see her being dominated on the ground either. And she's got reach advantage on the feet and size advantage on the feet. And she's just tough as a woman. Marina Rodriguez gets the upset in the main event. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Thank fuck that card is over. I mean, it's great. Sorry. I mean, it's a great card. You should really tune in. It's going to be amazing. This is $1 billion company here. Obviously, it's a good card.